can just go ahead and get into it. Like I said, great to see everyone. Hope you're having a great Wednesday so far. We are so excited for this particular webinar. We are really focused on those of you who are client facing. So you could be in sales, customer success, customer support, you could be consulting. If you're working with clients, you've probably either started using Scribe with them or want to start using Scribe with them. So you're in the right place. Today, we are going to be diving deep on a case study with Gong. And we're talking all about how Gong uses Scribe to drive customer success. So my name is Meg. I'm a product marketer here at Scribe, and I'm here just really to get us kicked off. The main show will be led by Kayla here, who leads our customer success team at Scribe. And the woman of the hour, or the half hour, shall I say, Alyssa Sanchez, Senior Customer Success Manager at Gong. She will be taking us through all sorts of cool things that she uses Scribe for. So what we'll cover today, like I said, it's a case study on Alyssa at Gong, and she'll be sharing 3 really actionable tips. The first being how she uses Scribe to provide tailored, that white glove support to her entire customer base at scale. She'll also be sharing some tips on how she shares Scribe as like a documentation and best practices across the other CSMs and the rest of her CSM team at Gong. And then also, we all know that even though our core job is to work with clients, there's always the kind of stuff that you do on the day-to-day. So Alyssa will be sharing some tips on how she uses Scribe to spend less time on those internal tasks and more time where it matters, which is with her customers. And we've got 30 minutes scheduled today. Instead of hosting Q&A at the end, if you have questions as Alyssa and Kayla are going through it, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll actually just stop and get to an answer for you right then and there. So with that, I will pass it over to Kayla and Alyssa.
Thanks so much, Meg, and thanks everybody for being here today. I am so excited to talk with you, Alyssa, about your experience at Gong so far. Being customer facing for the entirety of my career, this is so near and dear to my heart. So I'm just really excited to share some of the examples from your experience, which I think really highlight some of the value that, some of that leverage we're all looking for in delivering those fantastic experiences to our customers.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, as am I.
Awesome. So to start out, maybe you can start giving us a little bit of background about what is Gong, Gong, the company you work for, the product that you're supporting your customers with, and about your role at Gong.
Yeah, definitely. So just a quick intro to Gong. If you haven't heard of it before, we're in the revenue intelligence space. So essentially Gong is a tool that will really allow you to record and capture all of your customer facing interactions, whether it's calls, emails, web conferencing, just like we're on today. And it really helps you stay on top of your pipeline, automate and assist you in following up with your accounts, in a really, really good place to give feedback, give and receive feedback. So that's kind of Gong in a nutshell. And as far as myself, I've been with Gong for 4 years now. Some days it seems like it's flown by so quickly, but I've started as an SDR here, now sitting in the CSM seat. And typically at any given time, I usually manage around 170 customers in my book. My responsibilities typically include onboarding them, implementing them, getting technical things set up within the platform, and also training and enabling them. So we want all of our customers to adopt Gong in a way that best aligns with their specific business objectives. And of course, as a CSM, eventually hoping to get upsells and retention as well. So that's my core responsibilities.
Awesome. Thank you. You saw my eyes go wide when you talked about your book of business. Tell me a little bit about that, how that's changed over time. What are some challenges that poses for you?
Yeah, so having that many customers, yeah, it is something that kind of, I see the wide eye a lot when I tell people that. So I specifically am in our commercial space, so SMB, if you will. So we have a lot of smaller accounts, but that eventually grow into bigger accounts. So it is a challenge to manage such a large book of customers. In an ideal world, of course, you want to be able to give the same effort and the same time to every single one of your customers, but we only have so many hours in the day. So I think that is one of the challenges of organizing time to be able to do so. But with Scribe, I think that's where it comes in, and we're really lucky to have a tool like this.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some folks on the call who are maybe familiar with this, have some of the same challenges. So I'd love to hear in chat what folks think about, tips and tricks for managing that, and we can kind of we can empathize around those challenges. But also let's talk about how you've been using Scribe with those customers, because you were here today because you found like a pretty significant unlock in being able to engage with them. Let's dig into that. What's the high level? How have you found it Scribe's been helpful in those engagements?
Yeah, I think with such a heavy book of customers, one thing is that you often find yourself maybe going down rabbit holes of emails. When you have back-to-back meetings all day, either one of those things can take up a lot of time. So I think one thing we do at Gong as a team is we're always trying to figure out ways to do things more efficiently or better than they've been done in the past. So the way I specifically use Scribe is when my customers are getting up and running, maybe they're a new customer, or maybe they're a customer that has been with Gong for a while. As our platform has continued to evolve, we're using Scribe to basically send them answers to their questions. So we've basically compiled a list over time of frequently asked questions that we may get in email form, where historically we were responding with screenshots of visuals in the platform that were really timely and time consuming to actually respond to a simple email. So we started making basically master scribes of simple tasks that we get often asked in emails to send to our customers. It's been really fast and efficient.
That's amazing. So maybe to juxtapose the old way, if I can call it that, the problem most of us are familiar with, some painful days and hours in past, copy paste screenshots into an email or maybe into a Word document and send that off in an answer to a functional question that a customer has. And you're getting, how many of these questions regularly? I'm guessing dozens a day of these types of questions that are critical things for your customers.
Yeah, definitely. That's pretty on par with a number usually every day. I think too is like we can only have so many hours in the day for calls. So there's a lot of emails that don't necessarily need a call, but still need a good amount of support. So I think with Scribe, it's easy to make sure that our customers still feel supported. They're getting the visuals sent to them. Helps me too as well. So one less call on my calendar. I think too, versus the old way, the screenshots that we were sending, one, it's pretty hard to keep track of, and in email screenshots aren't the most visually pleasing. So the new way with step-by-step ways in a master demo type environment is really helpful and easy to follow along.
Yeah. So what do your customers think about this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I actually have received feedback from customers of, one, this is amazing how fast you responded and solved my problem or my issue. It's really little things, I think, that add up to a lot of the impact that a CSM can have on a customer. So I can't take credit for what Scribe has done for me, but it's really helpful. And I think having that clear-cut feedback from customers is awesome to see, because one, it just proves out that you're helping them, and two, it's just a new way of doing things that's better than what we were doing in the past.
That's amazing. That's so awesome to hear that your customers are really appreciating it and you're saving time. This is like the ultimate unlock that we're all looking for, any of us in our customer facing roles. So I want to go back to, you mentioned this FAQ library that you built out for your team. So let's chat a little bit about that, about how you've now taken, what you've been able to do with your book, with your accounts, and maybe expand that benefit across your team.
Yeah, so way back when, I think almost a year ago now, is when we started working with Scribe. Basically, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, why are we not using this for every single thing internally or even externally, as far as learning how to do things, process. I mean, I know we have tons of resource articles and tons of videos, and I never intended to overlap those or fix something that's not broken. But I think just adding another layer of intelligence on with a different type of resource, everyone learns differently. So that's basically how this came about. I figured out about Scribe from my colleague Lupe. She's a heavy user as well. I'm so glad she showed it to me. But she basically, we walked through the platform together, and also I attended one of your all's demos, which was really helpful. But after that, I was like, there's tons of things that I know are siloed in everyone's days that we need to start uncovering. So we all work remotely. So we started to compile a list of exactly those frequently asked questions that maybe are bogging us down, taking time off of our plate that we could be spending with customers. And that list compiled really quickly, as you could imagine. Tons of good, simple workflows in Gong that we could create scribes from. And so based off of a working Google Sheet, we were able to create a whole entire customer success page in Scribe based off of all those things that my colleagues and coworkers submitted as frequently asked questions that I think they're spending too much time on. So I think that was a big solve really quickly as well, big impact.
That's amazing. I might put you on the spot here. Is there any way you can share that with us?
Yeah. Would you like it within Scribe?
Yeah, absolutely. We've gotten some questions come in through the chat as well around, how are you making these available to your team and to your customers? How are you sharing those scribes? So I'd love to see the real life example.
Yep, definitely. So this is what has come of, can you all see my screen?
Yes,
Okay,
thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah. So this is what has come of our frequently asked questions as far as what the team has submitted, what they feel could be helpful to have a different type of resource, a visual, if you will, walkthrough. I think the really cool thing about this is it's a bit more visually pleasing than a resource article for a lot of folks. And also it's just easy and familiar to. If you type in a keyword of what you're trying to do, it's easy to find the Scribe as a CSM. But this list has continued to grow over time as Gong also continues to evolve and there's more features, more enhancements made. So yeah, this is also a growing list, but this is what it looks like. Lots of good, simple scribes that we can send to our customers.
Amazing. So for other folks on the call, to recap here, you've got your customer success team set up within Scribe, and within that team, this page houses these FAQs. So your other team members, everyone has access to this page. They can come here to review them. They can open up and they can actually send any one of these scribes to their customers with the link. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. This list was intended to be able to share with any one of our customers, no matter what segment or where they're at in their journey with Gong. All of these scribes are actually made in our demo instance. Therefore, we're good on privacy and there's no sensitive information being shared. So it's our master scribes. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I see another question in the chat from Ginny. How are you sharing the scribes? You're linking directly to them. I think I remember you mentioning that. Is that the case? So are you typically popping a hyperlink in an email?
Yep, exactly. As soon as we get any questions that are aligned with any of the scribes that we do have today, I come into Scribe, whether I come into Scribe or I use the plugin, the extension, which is super helpful because you can search from there and share from there. The only other reason I would share this that's not with an external customer is about a quarterly basis. I share this whole entire customer success Scribe page in our Slack channel, just to make sure that I'm keeping up to date with things that people need and create as many as we can. So like I mentioned, the list is growing, which is awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. And fantastic how your teammates can contribute as well, right? Yeah. Anybody can, as those questions come up in real time, create a scribe and augment this library that way.
Yep, exactly.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Alyssa. I appreciate it. I know we're looking at some stats the other day and we were seeing like several hundreds of views on many of these scribes you've created. So just to give a sense, everyone, of the scale, that's saving weeks of time for yourself, Alyssa, and for your team and for your customers too. Yeah. And that's likely why they're appreciating this so much. Awesome. So we kind of called out those three categories. It's amazing to hear how you've been creating scribes for your customers, how building out this FAQ library has been so valuable for your team. let's talk a little bit about some of those internal tasks. And those of us that are customer facing, these are like the necessary evils sometimes, but I know you've had some great examples of how Scribe's been helpful there too.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I think if you all follow Gong as well, I think there's tons of data that we release about how much time we actually spend customer facing versus our admin work. So I think that is always a pain point or a challenge that we're trying to improve as far as cutting down on the admin work, but making sure everything is still in place and still in line. I'm sure it's very familiar to a lot of you on the call, but things like updating CRMs, making quotes for our customers, logging simple tasks, or even just completing some reports that we were held to adhering to with things like KPIs. So a lot of those things it's a lot to learn when you start a new position. So specifically internally here at Gong, once you're a senior CSM, you're held accountable to helping onboard your CSM buddies. So new hires or folks that are just coming from different departments, whatever it may be. So there's lots of process to learn. And use Scribe internally as well to send over a quick little step-by-step of how do I make a quote? How do I log this in our tools today? This one saves a lot of time, and two, they're always going to have that link to go back to if that one time run through wasn't enough. But this saves time on my plate as far as having to jump on a quick Zoom call or whatever it may be. And also I think it's a really effective way to learn as well.
That's so awesome. That's great. You also mentioned, I think, new team members coming in as well, and your role being an onboarding buddy.
Yeah, definitely. So as far as the new folks coming in, we use it just like how we would externally as well. We're sending workflow suggestions via Scribe to our customers, but when you're onboarding as a new hire, you're not only learning the internal tasks, but you're learning how to use Gong as well. So we actually use both the internal Scribes and also external Scribes with our new hires. So it's a really interesting use case because it fits so many different roles.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think you've covered like all of the bases. So amazing to hear all of these different ways in which Scribe is helping in part of the business. So we've got a few questions. I want to make sure we have some time for some Q&A at the end. And I know there are some folks here that are eager to drill into your own experience, Alyssa, but before we get to Q&A, closeout question for you. What is your favorite Scribe feature? And can you show it off for us?
Yeah. So it's a toss-up between the Chrome extension plugin. I think it's so easy to use, but I think for today, my favorite is the magic merging of steps. As you can see, I'm just pulling up our customer success page, maybe 10 steps. If I am a busy sales leader trying to set up a software tool, 10 steps maybe is a little scary. That sounds like a lot of work, the bandwidth that I don't have today. So I think merging steps in together to get them down to the 8 or even 4 steps is really helpful and a little bit more appetizing to actually get something done. So to do that, I'll just use this one as an example. I've probably already merged things in here, but if I go ahead and I will edit this, I can select any one of these. So let's say I select number 2 and 3, and I want to go into step actions. I can magic merge this. And I would love to know the reason behind magic in front of it, but I think I have an inclination as to why it's magic. Once you do this, you can go ahead and merge your steps. Let's go. And I like the visual that it gets once you're merged. It kind of is like a jiffy. It goes back and forth into the steps and actually is moving with you. So I assume that's what the magic means, but either way, it's my favorite.
Yeah, so good. I love it. We share a favorite feature, Alyssa. I'm so glad you showed this one off. Yeah. And for those of you who might have even really long scribes, or Alyssa, next time you're creating a scribe, you've got a number of steps. The magic merge will actually, without even having to select the steps, will merge ones that look similar or appear to be similar steps for you. So that's a super fun time save for longer processes. And then you can come back and you can tweak it kind of the way you did if you'd like to after the fact. But that is the magic, or the small part of magic in that particular feature.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good to know. See, I'm learning here too.
Awesome. Thank you so much for showing us that feature and for answering our questions. Let's dive into a couple more questions. I think we've got a few in the chat. Meg, turn it over to you.
Yeah, do we want to answer the question around just general CS tools that are helpful for all client-facing folks?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to that. Internally, we use a couple different tools. So one is Gainsight. It is a beast of a tool, can do lots of different things. I think the really cool thing is that it integrates with Gong. So really helps us stay in Gong, but still get a lot of good insight from Gainsight, things around customer health, NPS scores, surveys that have come in. We can see that within each and every platform we have. Other tools we use, things like Sense, Tableau, for our analytics on adoption, which we're heavily tracking, of course, as CSMs. And then just all the regulars for the CRM, Salesforce, and all our conferencing tools like Zoom. And Scribe, can't forget Scribe.
Cool, thank you. All right, I had 3 questions sent directly to me. So the first one, Alyssa, is do you ever get pushback from customers when you send them a Scribe? In a client-facing role, I always want to ensure I never add friction to my customers, and I just want to make sure sending them a Scribe link never confuses them.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And to answer, I haven't got any pushback as of today. And after sending quite a lot, I think it's a really helpful visual for a lot of folks, especially if I've already sent over resource articles or if I've already sent over videos, and those don't seem to be as sticky. I think this option is what some folks need. So I think it does help really a lot of folks, a lot of customers of mine.
Cool. Okay, then I actually just got one comment. This came in when you were showing the customer success page. It said, "This is so awesome." Sounds like you're everyone's best friend at Gong for organizing this content. So had to share. Then the next question I have, what do you do if you have a customer with a more specific ask or need? Do you find it's easier to make changes to existing scribes or faster to just record a new client-specific scribe?
Yeah, that's a good question. Typically, if it is a very specific type question that is not considered frequently asked question, or it's just more specific to their needs, I will make a net new scribe. And that's actually something on our project list internally here at Gong to, when those do occur, okay, where do we start to save those in Scribe so we can use them in the future, whether it's making masters of more specific types of scribes. But for the time being, we do basically make a net new scribe that is specific to their all's instance and not in a demo instance.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And then last one, this came in when I think you were alluding to the fact that Gong has a ton of different types of resources, a help center, internal wiki, like things that your enablement team creates. And the question is, how do you manage all the different types of help resources your company offers? How do you prefer to send a scribe, and how do you manage when to send something from your company's help center?
Yeah, it's a good question. So since we do have so many resources, we basically have a standard process for all of our customers as we onboard them. They are basically, they are given a full range to all of our resources. And we thoroughly go through every single one of them. But I think even with that, as you all, I'm sure, have had experiences with help centers, there is sometimes challenges in finding exactly what you need. So hence why CSMs probably exist, because you can come straight to CSMs to get those specific questions answered. But with Scribe too, I think that I don't know, it's just kind of a preference thing. They're easy to make, quick to send off, and two, I think they're really helpful. There's something else. The first part of the question it sparked can you repeat the first part of the question?
How do you manage all the different types of help resources your company offers?
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I think it's a challenge. There's a lot to it. But I think one thing that helps me kind of gauge where I'm having the most success with resource articles is that one, in Gong, our help center, I'm not able to see who's actually viewing what I'm sending over or what I'm giving them as resources. But with Scribe and also with Gong, we can see exactly who's viewing what, which is really helpful to gauge interest and they're actually wanting to do these things, they're following along with us. And two, it's just a good way to say, okay, I'm putting them in this work to make these scribes. Folks are actually getting use out of them, which is helpful to know.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even for myself, like I answer a lot of questions via email that users have. And oftentimes they'll ask a question that I know we have a help center article for, and I could send that, but it's so easy and fast to send a scribe. And I feel like it's just a more personal touch. And like from the user's perspective, it feels better knowing that somebody actually took a few seconds to create personalized, helpful documentation for your exact question than send a help article that's like maybe 90% of the way there.
Exactly. Yep.
So it's just kind of like, I don't know, it seems like a no-brainer. It's an easy way to provide that like really, really solid customer experience. So last question, Alyssa, that we just got in the chat. How do you manage keeping your scribes up to date as your platform changes, which I know is a very real thing for Gong?
Yeah, it's tough. I think just kind of setting some time aside for when I do have admin work to complete projects or something that every CSM here at Gong typically work on. So to continue evolving how we use Scribe along with keeping all the scribes up to date with all the Gong knowledge. It is a task, but I think once it is done, it's kind of that one and done type thing, which is really nice. I don't have to keep coming back to change scribes. I can just make new ones as we go on and as we release new features. But yeah, it is a challenge, but I think the reward from it makes it worth spending time on.
Cool.
Amazing. One final question, and I think this is a great one for all of us to wrap up on, is how do you tell your scribe creator that you've really enjoyed the scribe or you have feedback for it? And there is a feature for that. There are reactions available, right? And any scribe that you're viewing or your viewers are reviewing that you've made, they can leave a reaction for you to indicate how much they love it, how much applaud for it, or even provide feedback for you. So Katie in chat, take a look for that functionality, and looks like Meg's going to show us right now.
It is a little bit hidden, but it's such a powerful feature that I wanted to show you. So in the bottom right corner of anyone else's scribes, you'll see a reactions panel or a way to give feedback. And just so you all know, when you give feedback here, it will email the creator of the scribe, letting them know that you left the feedback. And when they go in and make the change, it will actually email you that the change has been made. So we focused a lot on like that full feedback loop. So yeah, give it a try. Bottom right corner of anyone's scribe. All right, that's it. Alyssa, Kayla, any parting words that you want to share?
Alyssa, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciated hearing about your story and all of your real life examples about how you and your team at Gong are really leveraging Scribe, and your Gong customers are psyched about it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll send the recording to this as well as like a follow-up resource with some of the tips that Alyssa shared. So we'll be in touch then. Thanks, everyone. Bye.